Agency. So over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to be going over a value-added service you can provide your clients, or maybe you're already providing them, and how the Thompson Agency can help. I'm actually really excited about this presentation because I feel like it applies to anybody who's in the insurance industry, anybody who's getting started, anybody who's a seasoned producer has the opportunity to ask that question. You know, when is the last time you reviewed your life insurance? So I think this is going to be really valuable. And let's go ahead and get started. So policy review, but here's an outline what we're going to cover today. So first of all, we're going to identify which of your clients should contact to have a policy review. Next, we're going to go over why it's important to both you and your client. And then we're going to go over the benefits to you and your client. So I'll go over the 4 easy steps to a successful review and how the Thompson Agency can help. And lastly, I'll go over a couple of case studies. So let's begin with identifying which of your clients or potential clients would need a policy review. There will obviously be a client who has an existing life insurance policy. It could be either term insurance, permanent coverage, or even just a policy through their employer. So even if you didn't sell them the policy, the easiest way to find out if they have one is to ask. So I can't emphasize this enough. It should just be a part of your routine. You know, when's the last time you reviewed your life insurance? You know, number one, they're going to say, you know, I have insurance through an agent and he does very well by me. Number two, they might say I have insurance and I haven't heard from my guy in 10 years. Or number three, I don't have any insurance at all. You know, two of those could definitely lead to great opportunities. So the great thing about this service is you don't have to be the writing agent. Another way to identify the client is to focus on those who have had some recent life changes occur. So those changes could include marriage, divorce, having a new child or grandchild, a change in a job, or maybe they got a promotion with a change to their income. So they could be clients who are now providing financial support to a family member, those who received an inheritance, purchased a new home, or maybe they just experienced a change in their health. So such as becoming more fit, no longer using tobacco products. So if you happen to be the writing agent, you can also look at your book of business and focus on any clients who have not had a review in the past 3 to 5 years. It is recommended that a review take place at any life event or roughly every 3 years. So those are general guidelines for doing a policy review. So why is it important to review your clients' policies? For one, your clients' needs are always changing. Life events that we touched upon in the previous slide can affect the amount of coverage they need or the affordability of it. They might have different goals in mind as well. These things are always changing over time. So perhaps they now want to focus on retirement savings or education funding for their children. Second, policies don't always perform the way they were projected when they were initially sold. So it's possible that the values have been affected by the lower interest rate environment, causing an increase in the premium needed to carry the coverage moving forward. Or maybe the client missed a premium payment, which can cause a reduction in the coverage period. As we all know, there's a lot of factors that can affect the overall performance of a policy, such as fees, crediting rates, loans or withdrawals, and premiums paid. So by reviewing the contract every 3 years, you limit the client's exposure to the negative effects that can occur. Alternatively, there could be positive effects as well, which could potentially lower their premium. As a third note, their beneficiary may need updating. Maybe they are new parents, or perhaps they had a change in marital status. They may not even know who they had initially designated as their beneficiary. And fourth, the industry is ever changing and products are evolving. So there might be new riders available that were not at the time when they bought their policy. You know, a great example of this is the chronic illness or long-term care riders that are becoming an alternative to traditional long-term care. So more and more carriers are offering these types of riders on their policies. Also, the pricing may have become more competitive now, and due to medical advances, underwriting rates have improved in some cases. So lastly, As you have these conversations with your clients, you can uncover new opportunities. It could be a situation where they need additional coverage for a second house that they're thinking about purchasing, or maybe they want to set up a policy for a new child or grandchild. So lots of opportunities with policy review. So what will the customer gain from a policy review? From a customer standpoint, having a review gives them the chance to consider and recognize changes in their lives that may have an effect on their need for coverage. It's going to give them the opportunity to adjust their coverage if it's not adequate, or provide the reassurance that their policy is performing as they intended. They're going to get that peace of mind knowing that they have the proper coverage to take care of their loved ones. And what will you gain as their agent? Well, number one, you're going to gain credibility and trust by proving your interest and knowledge to your customer. This will in turn help you retain customers and grow your business through customer referrals. It also gives you the opportunity to uncover assets you may not have been aware of. This can open the door for additional sales. So how do we have a successful policy review? There's really 4 easy steps, and the Thompson Agency is here to help. The first step is to ask your clients about their life insurance coverage, whether you sold it to them or not. Ask them if they've had a review in the past 3 to 5 years. Ask if they would be interested in possibly lowering their premium. Who doesn't want to lower their premium? Or if they've had any recent life changes that could require an adjustment in their coverage. As I mentioned previously, you can also review your book of business and pick out any policies you sold in the last 3 to 5 years. The Thompson Agency can provide you a list of your book of business, specifically identifying those types of cases. So once you've established that they've had a policy review, the second step would be to complete the request for an in-force illustration form and submit it to the Thompson Agency. So once we receive the request, we will complete the third step for you. And in this step, we gather all the information from the carrier and order any in-force illustrations. We'll then analyze that information we receive to make sure the policy is performing as expected, and we will provide you a summary report of our findings along with any recommendations if appropriate. So the fourth and final step is for you to have a follow-up meeting with your client to present this analysis and discuss the options if a replacement is suggested. So let's go ahead and look at a case study. Here we have Eddie and Maggie. They're both retired and had completed their estate plan 10 years ago with the help of their financial advisor. So at that time, they set up an irrevocable trust and had been diligently gifting to it every year since. The trust had purchased 2 second-to-die policies. One was a universal life and the other participating whole life. The policies have been active for 10 years and have never been reviewed. So the financial advisor who originally sold them the policies is no longer in the business. So at a meeting with their auto and home agent, they were asked about any life insurance that they had in place. They let their agent know about their estate plan and the 2 policies. The agent had asked them when the policies were last reviewed, and both Eddie and Maggie seemed surprised by the question and had no clue they should be reviewed. The agent explained the importance of having a review every 3 years and offered his assistance. They then completed a request for an in-force illustrations, an authorization form to allow their agent to obtain information. That's important because if we don't do that, then the outside carrier is not going to give that agent access to those policies. So after the agent received this information, it was determined that both policies were not performing at the assumptions used when they were first sold. So the whole life policy had experienced dividend reductions over that time, and the UL policy was being credited 5% than what had been illustrated. So it would now require premiums to be paid an additional 12 years. So by evaluating their policies, the agent was able to provide them a few new options using products that were more competitively priced. And the agent also found out that Eddie had quit smoking 7 years ago and could now qualify for a better rate class. So based on the new proposals the agent presented him, they could get 20% higher death benefit for the same premium amount and reduce the number of years they needed to pay. So both Eddie and Maggie agreed that they would move forward with the recommendations and would plan another review in 3 years. So now let's look at another case study for Dan and Kathy. And Dan and Kathy purchased term insurance on Dan 5 years ago when they bought their house. And this was done at the recommendation of their insurance agent to cover their mortgage. Dan also has some group life insurance coverage through his employer, and a lot has changed in the last 5 years. So their insurance agent contacted them based on it being 5 years since they purchased the term coverage on Dan and suggested that they have a meeting to review the policy. During the meeting, they discussed all the life events that have occurred in the last 5 years, and they now have 2 young boys, and Kathy has been a stay-at-home mom for 3 years, so a lot has changed. Their income has also changed. Dan received a promotion at work recently, and Dan and Kathy also indicated that they would like to have their boys listed as contingent beneficiaries. So based on all these changes, their agent calculated their financial needs and determined that there was a gap in coverage. They didn't just need coverage for their mortgage, but also income replacement to allow Kathy to remain at home and funds for college education expenses for their boys. So the agent was able to propose an additional term policy that would cover that gap and also offer conversion privileges to a permanent product. That's important. I think everybody should take note that some carriers are going to offer better conversion options versus others. So just something to keep in mind. They also were able to complete a change of beneficiary request for the existing policy. So prior to this meeting, Dan and Kathy never thought about how their life insurance needs could change and now understand the importance of doing a policy review. They have the reassurance that their loved ones will be taken care of. Because of this agent's proactivity and their positive experience, Dan recommended this agent to another coworker. So again, great way to build trust and get clients to refer you to others. So to summarize the who, why, what, and how is the policy review, we went over who the ideal client is. Someone with an existing term, permanent, or employer-sponsored policy, someone who has experienced a recent life change, or who has not had a review in the last 3 to 5 years. We also discussed why a review is an important service to offer your clients. Needs are always changing, as is the industry and products being offered. Performance can affect coverage negatively and positively. So we went over the benefits of a review to your clients and to you, their agent. It gives the client the chance to evaluate their goals and allows the agent to strengthen the relationship by proving your knowledge and building credibility. It can also give your client peace of mind that their loved ones will be taken care of. We went over the 4 easy steps of a policy review and how the Thompson Agency can help. And lastly, we discussed those 2 case studies, and there's so many more, and how the clients and agents benefited from this policy review. So once again, apologize for the delay at the beginning. I really hope you found this presentation helpful. I appreciate your time today. I think everybody should be incorporating this into their process when they meet with clients. It doesn't take up a lot of time. It's a service that, you know, on the front end, you could just offer it as a free service. I'd just like to take a look and evaluate what you currently have and mention about the possibility of lowering premiums. I think every client can relate to that and reevaluating their needs. So here's our contact information, along with our website that has a lot of helpful tools for policy review, including the request for an in-force illustration form that I'd mentioned, as well as a client fact finder worksheet. I'm going to be sending those out to each of you who attended the call. And I figure at this point, let's open it up for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute the lines. So if anybody has any questions, it'd be great if you could bring those up now. Anybody have any questions?
No
comments?
questions. Good presentation.
Thank you very much. Oh, I have a question. Hold on. Is this something to use with DI coverage too? Absolutely. It's funny that got brought up. I actually just received an email yesterday. Fortunately, not enough information, but we'll follow up on that. But the client has a DI policy, and we're seeing if we can make an improvement with the same premium amount. So pretty simplistic, but it's just a simple, has the pricing improved? Maybe that client's health has improved. Maybe they were rated on the original DI policy. But long-term care, that's another area. Long-term care, a lot of clients have the old traditional long-term care policies. Maybe we'd like to supplement by adding a long-term care rider on a UL policy or a hybrid product like MoneyGuard. There's a lot of options out there. So doing a review across the board, life, long-term care, DI, doesn't just apply to term and permanent life insurance. So great question. Oh, one more question. Do agents usually uncover new opportunities when using this review process? It goes without saying, I previously came from Lincoln, and I would say when I was a wholesaler, half the cases that I saw were exchanges, 1035 exchanges to new policies that better fit the client's needs. Sometimes, they had a need that actually went down, permanent need that went down, and we had enough cash to pay out the death benefit that would give them a guaranteed amount of coverage, and they wouldn't have to pay any more premium. Oh, and one more. And do you find higher face amount premiums when agents use policy reviews versus not using? I would definitely say there's huge opportunity there. I'm not sure if I fully understand the question here. Do you find higher? I would say not doing policy reviews is just going to be a negative. Besides doing what's right for the client, I think opportunities get missed if we don't see what the client has in force to make sure that what they have is enough. And, like I said, I think it's going to build trust. It's going to open up new sales. And I think it should just become a part of your process when you meet with clients. Any other questions? I really appreciate everybody taking the time this morning. Don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us here at the Thompson Agency. We're here to help. We know how to navigate through the different carriers, and I think we have about 16 different carriers that we can go to for new policies. So huge opportunity here. Definitely take advantage of doing policy reviews with your clients. And again, I thank you for your time this morning.